My name is Joshua Webster. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I'm a senior, and I'm a basketball player, and I am doing my project on how our schools how our schools are failing another generation of African American males. So first, we're going to start off with what is the complex problem, and the complex problem is that schools are basically isolating African American males with harsh punishments and basically going too far. So, and that ultimately sets these young boys and men up for life as a prisoner and life as a second class citizen. In the state of Missouri, black males are specifically caught in the crosshairs of an educational system that seeks to criminalize even the most basic childhood offenses through harsh discipline. So, in the introduction, today, over 60 years later, America's school systems are still falling short of the dream. This would be one of the holes in our world today. And black males are disproportionately disciplined, harsher than other groups of students. And then we have this vicious cycle. So the vicious cycle starts with discipline as a student, um, remove that student from the classroom as a punishment, and then leads that student to decrease academic interest and skills. What that means is like they lose their confidence, they lose their focus, and most of all, they lose their potential, what they could have been. And in this interdisciplinary research project, I'll be focused on three disciplines, which is psychology, sociology, and communications. So, in the literature review, in Missouri, schools at kindergarten to 12th grade level have leaned heavily on the zero tolerance policies that are initially adopted to discourage drug related crimes in schools. And see, under these policies, black boys who exhibit typical childhood behavior, no matter what the level is, are being punished with harsh discipline and at younger ages. And so, with these three disciplines, we focus on first psychology. When you think of psychology, you think of feelings and how someone feels. Um, so when a dispute between children is de-escalated by the use of criminal measures like handcuffs of some type, the student can feel and understand that the level of punishment does not match the level of offense. And this is when teachers take it too far, or they could have handled something themselves. Um, and then when this happens, it becomes difficult for the adolescent to feel regretful or sorry when they're dealing with anger and of feeling like they have been punished unfairly. And then this just goes to say and talk about how they lose that confidence, they lose that potential because they feel the guilt, they feel the anger inside because they feel like the school system is against them and not with them. Then on the sociology side, the inequality in discipline starts as early as elementary school. Communities have seen too many young children, young black men, being being brutally hurt by police, or even in the classroom, they'll bring the security guard in, and that's just the teacher taking it too far, taking the situation too far when the teacher really could dealt with the situation, but they didn't have the patience to do it. Then you have the communication side, In communications, we have social media and all that stuff, and then as a part of the American society, teachers, administrators, and even students themselves are bombarded with negative images of African American males and contributing to racial stereotyping and accepted reality of black men as aggressive and violent. So when you talk about like being aggressive and violent and stuff like that, you're making African American males look like the bad guys in the situation. You're making them look like they're so violent when in reality it was just the base of the situation and what happened in the situation. So we move to the interdisciplinary research, and when education does not seem like a safe place or a viable space for advancement with limited prospects for employment or legal enterprise, many African American males feel like they're trapped. So basically, African American males sometimes feel like the school system isn't with them, or they're not gonna, work with them because they feel so trapped and they feel like the school system is against them. And then when society becomes numb to the basic humanity of African Americans through biased media coverage and other biased mass communications, it can be difficult to get educators on board with the idea that the child in each infraction deserves a unique approach. And, everybody's not the same. Everybody doesn't react to the same approach. Some may react to the approach of punishment. Some might react to the approach of communication, being talked to and being dealt with by a principal, by a teacher, by a school counselor. It doesn't always have to result in a kid being punished, a kid being harshly punished with detention and all that stuff. And then we go into the common conflict with the disciplines, and that occurs within the discipline. The disciplines from the source is understanding how each infraction will be punished. And throughout the disciplines, different punishments were assigned for infractions of zero tolerance policy. And then, although some of the conflicts with the disciplines and sources, there is common ground among them as well. And then the main point in the common ground is that the discipline is that all kids should be informed of the punishments for violating the zero tolerance policy before anything occurs. And the key word is should be. They should be, because normally kids are subjected to the punishment without any warning or of what punishment, and then that is what the teachers are for, because the teachers need to have patience. They need to be patient with the child, maybe take a different approach than being so quickly to punish them. And then to conclude, first we're going to focus on disciplinary discrimination, and then disciplinary discrimination is robbing too many African American boys of the right to a chance at an equal education and better life and opportunities. Thousands of young African American males have already been lost to the judicial system because of flawed disciplinary theory. So when that comes into play, basically African American boys they're not being treated fairly. We want equality. We want just to be treated fairly. Then we focus on how schools are supposed to be the safe place. Schools are supposed to be a safe place for all students, regardless of the race, regardless of the ethnicity, regardless of the sexual orientation. It's supposed to be a safe place for students to get away, go learn, go get knowledge. And the role of schools in punishing young people into the prison system is in direct opposition to to the view that the public education is a place for the youth to transform their lives in America. And then we talk about the weaknesses. So, the weakness of this interdisciplinary research is that blacks aren't the only ones that are being targeted. And in order to change the educational system and zero tolerance policy as a whole, other research must be done on the effects of other race and minorities. And then we focus on the responsibilities of the parents and teachers. Well, first of all, the teachers, they must have greater understanding and of the community they teach. In order to implement these changes, it will take greater teacher and administrator training or policies that are geared to reconnect the black males that have been excluded and are at risk for future discipline problems. And then we talk about the parents. Parents can get involved too. Parents can communicate with teachers and administrators in the schools. They can they can take in involvement in their child's school and work with teachers and administrators to divert youth toward education and away from collisions with the justice system. And just to conclude, we can make a change. We can change this. We can get African American males more involved in schools. We don't have to punish them so hard. Thank you for everything.